this meeting of Riverside Township Board of Trustees to order. Please rise. And Clerk Blau, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Clerk Blau, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Clark.
Present.
Trustee Drapka.
Present and accounted for.
Trustee Hollenbach.
Present.
Trustee Lupfer.
Here.
Supervisor Wilt.
Present.
Let the record note Clerk Blau's in attendance.
Thank you. You have in your packets the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting from August 13th. What is your pleasure?
I make a motion we approve the minutes of August 13th, 2019 board meeting.
That is the meeting that we failed to have a quorum, so it was simply called and dismissed and rescheduled. I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion. Well, actually,
Can't do that.
can't. So I will second it because I was here. All in favor, say aye.
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 No, really, opposed?
And I abstain.
Okay, right, thank you. So those minutes of the failed meeting
This one.
are accepted.
Go for it.
The minutes of the Township of Riverside meeting of August 20th are in front of you. What is your pleasure?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the special August 20th meeting.
I have a motion to accept by trustee Clark, accept the minutes of the August 20th special meeting. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by trustee Heilenbach. Any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion is carried. And then we have the minutes of the September 3rd Committee of the Whole meeting regarding the anniversaries.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of September 3rd for the committee of the whole meeting.
I have motion to, by trustee Clark, to approve the minutes of September 3rd. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Are there any additions or corrections? I hear a motion by trustee Clark, second by trustee Heilenbach, and no additions or corrections. So all in favor of accepting those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion is carried. All right. Are there any communications?
Yes, we have one. We received from People Care. It says, to our wonderful donors, here's just a snapshot of what your donations has meant to People Care and its clients. There were round trips, number of round trip rides given by our volunteers was 1,445. Numbers of miles driven by our volunteers was 10,546. Number of hours volunteers have spent with clients, 1,016.5. Number of phone calls answered was 1,920. Number of telephone reassurance calls was 640. And number of group grocery trips, 32. They said included is some other extras that they helped a person get a laptop, a new air conditioner, and helped find new housing for several clients and thanked us for our continued support. So I thought that was a very nice
Very nice. Thank you.
communication.
Thank you. Any others? That's the only communication? Is that the only communication?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry. Okay, then that communication is accepted with pleasure. Are there, at this point, are there any visitors' remarks? Actually, I will invite one of our visitors at this point to address later on in the agenda. We do have the approval of the draft of the audit, but Mr. Tracy, if you would like to step to the podium, identify yourself, and open it up, give us a summary and open it up to any questions that the board might have about the audit.
All right. Thank you for having me here this evening. I met Tracy. I'm the partner with Selden Fox on the audit of the financial statements for the township for the year ended March 31st, 2019. Our audit report, our annual financial report, which is the bigger document, it starts with our independent auditor's report. It's our opinion on the financial statements that follow. That's really our page. The rest is the financial statements are really management's. And we do have an unmodified opinion, which is the highest form of assurance that we can provide that the financial statements are fairly presented. There's two sets of financial statements within your audit report. There's government-wide financial statements, and these are on pages 9 through 11. And these are on what's called a full accrual basis. So basically, these are more of a long-term perspective, puts fixed assets and long-term liabilities on the balance sheet and then recognizes them over time. The other statements, the remaining pages really after page 11 are fund financial statements, and this is what you look at more on an interim basis throughout the year. It's on what's called a modified accrual basis. It's closer to a cash basis or a more current measurement focus. Just kind of summarize the results for the year. On the full accrual basis, on the government-wide financial statements, there's a positive bottom line of about $63,380 from current year operations. So within the fund financial statements, the three funds that were presented are the General Town Fund, the Community Mental Health Fund, and then the General Assistance Fund. The General Town Fund had a small loss of $35,000 this year. That was compared to budgeted loss of $600,000. Revenues were slightly over budget, and expenses were significantly under budget. Now, you do build into the budget some, contingencies and costs for potential repairs and maintenance and things like that that weren't needed in the current year. But overall, the results were better than budget. And when we look at the end of the year, the General Town Fund has a fund balance that's about a little over 100% of your annual expenses at this point. The Community Mental Health Fund had a small net income of about $1,600. Revenues were just pretty much right on budget, maybe 1% over. Expenses were about 10 to 15% under budget. And the General Assistance Fund had a positive bottom line of $40,000 for the year. Expenses were nearly 70% under budget, but again, that fund is budgeted to meet the needs of those seeking assistance. You never really know exactly what that's going to be, so you want to make sure that your budget will allow for you to provide the assistance should it be needed. Within the notes to the financial statements, just to quickly, there really weren't any new disclosures this year. So the notes look pretty similar to what they looked like in the past, with the numbers obviously changing, but the different disclosures are as they've always been, or they've been in the last couple of years. Did want to kind of highlight where the pension plan sits right now. The pension plan, we do record what's a net pension liability in the financial statements. It's based on an actuarial valuation done by IMRF, and obviously with an actuarial valuation, there's a lot of estimates made. They did change one estimate this year, which was their interest rate assumption. So basically what the assumption used on what the plan investments will earn. They reduced that from 7.5% to 7.25%. That had the effect of increasing your net pension liability, which is only recorded in the government-wide financial statements. It's not in the fund financials. And last year, that was actually at a net pension asset, so you were essentially overfunded by about $20,000 last year, $16,000. This year, it's now a net pension liability of about $143,000. Still, the pension fund is almost 87% funded, so it's still a well-funded pension fund. And really, you can kind of attribute that, increase in the liability, going from a small asset to a liability, to primarily to those assumption changes that were made by IMRF. And that 7.25 is probably still a little more than what you see in like some of the police and fire pension plans. So it's not unreasonable that they adjusted that a little bit, but they have typically done a pretty good job of achieving those investment objectives over the years. And then finally, as the audit process went, I thought it went very smoothly this year. We certainly appreciated the help we got from management here and from staff in the accounting, whose name just slipped my mind for some reason. Thank you, DeMonte and Associates. We certainly appreciated their help. We made fewer adjustments than we made in prior years. There were 6 adjustments, which had a net effect of increasing the bottom line by a little over $3,000. And we do take a look at internal controls. We don't give an opinion on internal controls because that's not really what a financial statement audit does, but we do test them to see that they're operating as designed to help us determine whether, the extent we can rely on them in designing our procedures. We did find that the controls were in place and operating effectively.
Questions?
Do you see any deficiencies that we need to correct?
No, we really didn't find anything. I felt even given the limited number of people, staff, you did a good job of segregating duties where you could, and you have the oversight taking place to compensate for any lack of the ability to properly, segregate duties. So I feel like the controls are in good place. Revenues, primarily are coming from property taxes, so there's not a lot of handling of cash, handling of money there, and you seem to have the controls over the disbursement process in terms of the approvals and having the proper support to those expenses. We do test a number of expenses to verify that they're properly supported and properly approved, and we found that to be in place, and so we felt good about that.
Excellent, thank you.
So we're at a 12-month reserve fund. What is the recommendation?
That's probably on the high end, I guess. I do always caution that when an organization or government relies, so heavily on property taxes and you only get them twice a year, you like to have a little more cushion than if you were an organization that was receiving money, evenly throughout the year. You might not need that much. That's probably on the high end of things. But, there's potential costs involved with the 100-year-old building and some other things. So I tend to like to be a little conservative, I guess, but I think it's fine where it is. But like I said, I think it's on the high end of that range.
We also have been budgeting for the future for this roof, as we're all aware. I mean, it's going to be a huge expense, and getting the money instead of going to the taxpayers for it is the way to, see if we can save a little bit, a little chitty, as they say, for it. So I think that's why our reserves are at that level, because we're going to need a new roof. And we're going to need some work on the swinging bridge also.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it doesn't take more than 1 or 2 major
No, it
projects to
won't be.
really
It'll be
really
more
eat
than
into
that,
those
yeah.
reserves, certainly.
So then that's the maintenance fund for the roof is just in our general reserve fund? Or is it?
There's a line item reserve, but we don't have.
We haven't designated it.
Right, so that is part of the 12-month reserve we have.
Yes.
Yeah, because your general fund is really, that's your, the other 2 funds are specific for, general
Right.
assistance is restricted, community mental health fund's restricted, so it's in that general fund.
Do we have a policy on reserve? How much reserves we want to keep?
I'd have to check the policy. Well, Toy has some recommendations, but I'd have to check the actual written policy, see what it says.
I
might
don't
want-
recall
A year and a
specific
half, I believe.
policy.
That's what it is for the,
Right.
for the mental health board,
Yeah.
is a year and a half of reserves.
yeah, right. I
And
think
then
it's-
you have to really start to worry
Right.
about that. But I know the mental health board's not there, not even close. And now the township is just a little bit over a year. I mean, that's just a year's worth.
I thought it was a percentage. Didn't they say, wasn't something passed like last year that said that your reserves can't be over like 200% or something like that of
It could be that too.
total budget?
Yeah.
It could be that too, trustee Dropka, but I know that they, when we looked into it, we were told it was a year and a half, go by a year and a half, so it could be a percentage too, so.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with a year and a half. A year seems a little tight.
Yeah, I know, makes you a little nervous,
Yeah,
yeah.
so maybe in just a future meeting, we discuss a reserve
Right,
policy.
I'll pull up the policies and we can discuss that then.
One last question about the pension liability. Is that
Are we gonna start falling further and further behind with this new evaluation?
No, I don't think so, because they'll adjust your annual contribution the idea is, the annual contribution will still be determined. It's really, there's two pieces to it. There's a piece that's being currently earned today, and then there's the piece that's catching up on the unfunding, and it's over the next 24 years, 25 years, till like, maybe it's 2041, 2042, so maybe like 23 years. But, so I would expect that percentage to either stay the same or gradually, close the gap to 100%. The idea being that it's supposed to be 100% funded by 2041 or 2042.
We're in very good shape there.
Yeah, and really,
Excellent.
your percentages are similar to what I've seen with all our other governments for IMRF. They're always all of them this year were in that upper, somewhere in the 80s. Yours is probably a little higher than average, but somewhere in the 80s. And they all came down from, about 10% from where they were
I think
last
we were
year.
93 last year, if I'm not mistaken.
You were actually just over 100 last
Yeah,
year,
we were-
because you had a net pension
Oh,
asset. Yeah, it was like 101. 2 years ago, I think you were like at 93 or so. Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming in.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your-
Again, thank you. We enjoy working with everyone here. We certainly appreciate the opportunity, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And also, I think that we should also, Supervisor Wilt, make sure that you deserve a lot of credit for getting this together. And staff, please tell them, from at least me, I'm sure the rest of us, thank you very much for getting that all together, and a fine job.
Thank you. Will do. All right. Then, are there any other visitors' remarks before we move on? Supervisors Report. It's a busy time trying to pull everything together on our various upcoming events. I'm working on firming up a lot of the November event items, but obviously top priority was getting the shredding event going, and we needed therefore also to get a newsletter out very quickly. So that has been that has been a priority. It is at the printer, and hopefully by the end of the week it'll be at the post office. And the shredding event today, everything came together because there were some changes in personnel at the school district, and things were falling between the cracks, but I finally got the form approved of our application for that, although they had assured me the date was good. And I also got the insurance coverage from the shredding company, as well as obtained our insurance certificate to turn over to the school. Food pantry vouchers are starting to be used a little bit more. Last week, I had just enough money with me because they cleaned me out on all the redemptions of vouchers. Over $200 so far has been redeemed. Yes, and so that's going well. I've had a conversation with the village administrator for North Riverside, also to make sure that we have a contingency plan should something not work out in Riverside for next year's events. And we're working on that. Still, with them, it would still be a matter of when RB's homecoming is. And I learned something. Not only do we need to wait we would have to wait until about April before they set that date, but it's not even RB that actually sets their homecoming date. It's the conference that does so. They look at the whole football schedule and say, that will be your homecoming and that will be your homecoming. So that, but, he was receptive if we should choose to do it the day after their event. Would love the sharing of costs and so forth. So still, that's still a work in progress. I've been working a little bit more on some of the details. I'm going through the application that we would need to file with the village for the various things. As you know, we spoke last week about what we would need to shut down and so forth. So, that's all a work in progress, while we've also had the effects of a full moon this week, in the office and all those good things. So, it's moving right along. Tomorrow, the village has invited us, we'll go and participate in their celebration of heroes for 9/11. And on Thursday, actually, I should announce to you that we will close for a couple of hours in the morning because the office staff is all going to participate in a CPR and AED class. Thought it would be important for all of us to do that. Fire department scheduled it. That was when it seemed to work for everyone else. I think some of the village employees are also doing it. So we're just gonna close the office for a couple of hours and open late. So hopefully we will be open well before noon. But we only have one custodian on, and he also needed a half day one day this week, so we said, let's do it that way, put it all together, and so that's what we'll be doing. Does anybody have any questions on something I may be missing? Yesterday marked an upturn again in the exercise classes, the senior exercise classes. It had been a little bit slow lately, but yesterday we were back up to like 18 or 19, so. Okay, very good. If there's nothing else then, trustees' reports. Let's start on this side this time. Trustee Lupfer, do you have anything for us?
No, I have nothing to report this time.
Thank you. Trustee Heilenbach.
The Mental Health Board will have their, we're going to be reconvening on Wednesday, September 18th. And looking forward to get going. I've got some questions for some of our...
Okay. Very good. Trustee Drapka, do you have anything to report?
No report, but I do have a point of personal privilege. I would like to give a shout out on the Riverside TV to my wonderful wife and my newborn, who's a month old. We found this afternoon that Riverside TV is on the number 6 at this evening, so they are watching their first township meeting on the number 6.
Oh, good, good.
So we all wave.
Hello there. Okay. And Trustee Clark.
First of all, I would like to say, at our last special meeting with everything, I was very impressed that we could bring together the Riverside Little Food Pantry and the community garden. So I think, we should really see if we can, if there's anything we can do to continue that relationship.
That's been kind of like a bailiwick of mine. And I just wrote down the note that we need to kind of formalize that. I'd like to kind of have a meeting. I think Peter from Riverside Foods wants to get involved. I think juniors could be involved with fundraising. I think there's a groundswell of support to do something about the hunger problem in the community. And I really am excited with how these groups are coming together, so.
Yeah, and I, really proud that we could instigate,
Yeah.
And bring together the food garden and the little food pantry.
And that shredding event is going to help them out immensely.
Right.
They were thrilled to hear that. And
Oh, yeah, that's what.
I let them know as soon as I had a firm date, and they assured me they would have people there to take whatever is brought. It went into the newsletter, it's on the flyers, so hopefully we can bring that all
We're gonna
together.
have a great turnout again.
Oh, yes, so we'll be prepared.
Yes.
Hopefully it won't be raining.
That would be very good if it
That's
did not
right.
rain.
As Vera said, the exercise class is going well, and, let's see, tomorrow is our lunch, our senior drop-in lunch, and hopefully I can get a trip to the Morton Arboretum planned for October.
Very good. Let us know how we can help you with that.
Okay. That's-
Okay. Thank you. If there's nothing else, then we will, we already heard from the Mental Health Board. And we have the audit before us. We have seen the draft, and we have heard from our auditor, Ed Tracy of Selden Fox. So I would now entertain a motion for the approval of the township audit for the fiscal year 2018-19.
So moved.
I have a motion by trustee Clark. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
And a second by trustee Heilenbach to approve the township audit for 2018-19. Any discussion? Then I think we should do a roll call vote on this.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes?
Trustee Lupfer?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Thank you. The planning for the township anniversaries, like I said, I don't really have much to update. We just met a week ago, so I've been working according to that plan. Trustee Drapka and I will be meeting with someone tomorrow, on a Thursday evening, from the Masonic Lodge, so that we can figure out the, what they're doing, what we're doing, so that we can firm all of those plans up as well. I'm working my way through, the Masonic Lodge has a kind of a plan of action, a checklist of how to go about it, so I'm working my way through that, and we'll then share that with the other two people before our meeting, and hopefully we'll be able to firm up and be able to start announcing some more details. Okay? Very good. New business. We have a resolution in our packets for the appointment of a new member to the Mental Health Board. We currently have no one from North Riverside on that board, and therefore, the resolution is that the board hereby approve the appointment of Ruth Cross of North Riverside as a member of the Riverside Township Mental Health Board for a term commencing tomorrow, September 11th, 2019, and terminating on December 31, 2022. All ordinances and resolutions or parts thereof in conflict herewith are hereby repealed, and this resolution will be in full force and effect from and after the date of its adoption, which would be today's date, the 10th of September, 2019. Are there any questions?
Could you tell us a little bit more about the...
Ruth is, she is a nutritionist who has a special needs child, so she has worked through the system, is quite familiar with all of the agencies. In the spring, both trustee Heilenbach and I met with her to make sure that some of those relationships don't perhaps even prejudice her for or against any of the things. She felt that she really could be insightful in terms of the community needs and would be helpful. She is very anxious to take charge. She has less of a commitment these days for her special needs child because that child is in a residential facility now in Wisconsin, and so she doesn't have the day-to-day worries with that. Very professional individual, is a consulting nutritionist, so she works with various agencies and moves about. So, anything you would like to add? Trustee
She
Hollenbach?
came across as very, very good. We got a recommendation from somebody in North Riverside that said that they thought that she would be pretty good. She's very interested. We did meet with her for probably over a half hour and went over the things of what we want on the mental health board and so on and so forth. So she was very, very positive about it, and I think she's going to be a nice fit for us.
Do we need a motion?
Yeah.
Yes, please. I need a motion to approve this appointment by this resolution, and I'm not sure what the number is. The clerk will fill in the number. That's resolution 2019-3.
I make a motion that we to approve the resolution for Ruth Cross to be appointed to the Mental Health Board.
A second.
I have a motion by trustee Heilenbach, second by trustee Drapka, to approve the appointment of Ruth Cross to the Mental Health Board. Any discussion? Then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion is unanimously carried. Thank you. As mentioned, the newsletter, you actually have a rough copy of it. If you want to see the color copy, that's, I have, it's on regular paper. But we wanted, and you like this picture, Trustee Drapka, for the,
Yeah, page 4.
for the cake when we
Yes.
celebrate the building?
Yes. Very nice picture.
Very good. You told me that as I was coming in this evening, so. All right, so yeah, there you have it. You see that we tried to highlight the things we could. We are still using the current printer because it was a very short notice to go to print, and my biggest concern, more than the printing, I'm sure that that is fine, but it's kind of a unusual mailing list that we utilize because it's by actual routes, and so we wanted to make sure that that would be okay, but we are looking at another printer for the next issue, when that will probably be shortly before the November events. So we are working our way up to a quarterly newsletter, like it or not. Okay, any questions about that? Any comments?
Looks great.
That's very
Again, my thanks and compliments to Andrew Lutha, who is very diligent about putting that all together. And then we work together. I proofread and edit to his dismay sometimes, but we're all set. Okay, the township website report is in your FYI section. Of course, the unusual traffic we had due to one word still is there because nothing ever dies on the internet, but we're tweaking a few things, adding a few other categories to be tracking and to pop in our social media. So the shredding event has appeared on the Facebook page as well. All these things do go onto our website, and one drives the other often.
I do have one question. Maybe we want to revisit room rentals to people outside the township at an inflated rate compared to inside in the township? Is that a policy we could review at some point?
We could. We're only at about a year of doing it, so I would like a little bit more traction before we come to that conclusion. We have one rental that's going to be happening within the next couple of months that we kind of went back and forth on, and we got an application for it, and at first it was like, well, this isn't coming from the community. And we told them as much. They found a member of their group that is in the community, so that person, they used that name. It's a nonprofit. They aren't going to sell alcohol or anything, so it's not even within our special requests, but I'd like to get a feel for what happens now that, as a matter of fact, we're trying to put online applications and so forth. I'd like to see what it does within the community before we open it up to the rest of the community.
I'm in agreement with that, absolutely.
Yeah,
You know,
I want to
baby
give it a little
steps,
more time.
baby steps
Right,
sometimes,
right. I'm not saying that we won't do that down the road, but I don't think that we have an experience yet to go that route quite yet. Then there's a reminder, if there's nothing more about the website report, there's a reminder about Autumn Fest in North Riverside. That is on September 27th. It's before our next meeting, so if you are, we already have our master chef ready to do the job, and we will have the proper signage. We now have a tablecloth that actually identifies who we are too, so that helps. It will help from tipping signs and so forth, and the staff will stand ready to support our participation however we can. Any other questions?
Does anybody have any specific requests for the decoration of the table? Trustee Clark? Okay, did you want any specific theme or?
Whatever you want.
Okay.
That's what, as I said, you have that knack to make it look really great, and I do not have that knack.
Very good,
Thank you.
very good.
That's all your baby.
Okay,
Have fun cooking.
all right, there doesn't seem to be any other business. Therefore, I will ask trustee Lupfer to present the warrants.
So I move that the board authorize and ratify payment of the bills identified on the general warrant, September 2019, in the amount of $16,565.98 as presented to the board this 10th day of September 2019. Do I hear a second?
I have a motion by trustee Lupfer. Do I hear a
Sorry.
second for the general warrants?
Second.
Trustee Lupfer has moved, trustee Clark has seconded the approval of the general warrants for September 2019 in the amount of $16,565.98. Is there any discussion? Then will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Lupfer?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes,
Motion is carried.
thank you.
So I move that the board ratify and authorize payment of the amounts indicated on the following warrants. The utility warrant, September 2019, in the amount of $1,022.38. The payroll warrant for September 2019 in the amount of $17,951.10. The health warrant for September 2019 in the amount of $1,693.58. Grants for September of 2019 in the amount of $10,000. Petty cash for September of 2019 in the amount of $134.32. The general assistance warrant for September of 2019 in the amount of $1,612. And the food pantry warrant for September of 2019 in the amount of $621.16.
Thank you. Do I hear a second to those?
Second.
Thank you, trustee Drapka. So I have a motion by trustee Lupfer, seconded by trustee Drapka, to approve the following warrants in the following amounts for September 2019. The utility warrant in the amount of $1,022.38. Payroll warrant in the amount of $17,951.10. The health warrant in the amount of $1,693.58. The grants warrant in the amount of $10,000 even. The petty cash warrant in the amount of $134.32. The general assistance warrant in the amount of $1,612 even. The food pantry warrant in the amount of $621.16. And is there any discussion? If not, Clerk Lau, will you please call the roll?
Trustee Clark?
Yes.
Trustee Drapka?
Yes.
Trustee Hollenbach?
Yes.
Trustee Lupfer?
Yes.
Supervisor Wilt?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
I make a motion, we adjourn this beautiful meeting.
Hold on.
I have a question before
Yes.
we adjourn. Just to follow up, the gardeners were gonna get us some paperwork. Have they done that?
We've been in touch with them. They said they're working on it, so they have
Okay.
not turned that in yet. They're aware that once they do, they will get their grant.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
I make a motion, we adjourn this beautiful meeting.
I have a motion by trustee Drapka to adjourn this meeting,
I'll second that.
second by trustee Lupfer. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Meeting is adjourned.